Hey everyone, welcome to Things Lucy Reads. I'm Luce and this is part 2 of my February wrap-up. Okay, so these books are all the physical books that I read, again, completely not in order. So the first book in this part, I actually read this as an ebook, but then I went and got a physical copy, and that book is Shatter by Tahereh Mafi. I downloaded this because it was free on the iBook store a couple of weeks ago. And I've been hearing about this on Booktube quite a lot, and I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked this. I kind of had heard really good things or like mediocre / really bad things, and it was kind of an even split between the two, so I wasn't sure which side I would fall on. But then I really enjoyed it. Not because the plot is anything, especially special, although Juliet's abilities are kind of like a new twist, and that was interesting. But because of Tahereh Mafi's style, a lot of people, if they don't like this book, her style is the reason for it. It's very different to what people are used to, but her prose is just gorgeous. And this book is kind of famous for having crossed out bits in the text, and I just thought that added so much to it, and I thought it was so interesting. And I read this in 2 days. I absolutely flew through it, and it really kind of resonated with me in a way that books generally haven't this year. So I'm going to be one of those Shatter Me groupies now, but I'm not sorry about it because I really did enjoy this book, and I think that everyone should at least give it a chance to judge it for themselves before they decide whether or not they're going to like it, because if I hadn't read it, then I would never know how great it is and how beautiful it is. And I think this series is going to be one of my favorites just because Tahereh Mafi's style is so beautiful, and I just want to read every book she ever writes because yes. Okay, so the next 2 books I borrowed from my dad. They are The Wonderful O and The 13 Clocks by James Thurber. My dad read these when he was younger and really enjoyed them, and we happened to find copies last year, so that was really exciting. I gave this one 5 stars and I gave this one 4 stars. This one is about these people who go to this island and they try and find all of the jewels and the treasure, but there aren't any. So they decide to search everything, including the letters. And when the no treasure is revealed in the letters, they decide that the letters can't exist anymore in the language. The wordplay in this was absolutely brilliant, and I just genuinely enjoyed every second of it. There was a lot of kind of like rhymes in the dialogue. It's not written in verse, but there were intentional rhymes there, and it was absolutely delightful. And I would recommend this to everyone, even though it was written a long time ago, because it's absolutely brilliant. And like I said, the wordplay is stellar. This one, The 13 Clocks, is about this old man who's kind of a miser, and he has a niece who is not actually his niece, who is very beautiful, and he none of the clocks in his castle work. So whenever a suitor comes for his niece, he sends them on a quest, or something, usually to have something to do with starting time again in the castle, but no one can actually accomplish it. But so this is about one suitor and his kind of journey. It was good. I gave it 4 stars, like I said, but I didn't really think it was as good as The Wonderful O. So but they were both really enjoyable. The next 2 books I read were The School for Good and Evil and A World Without Princes by Soman Chainani. This one was amazing. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. It's about these 2 girls called Sophie and Agatha who were taken from their village to the School for Good and Evil. Most people think being taken to the school is a bad thing, but Sophie has wanted nothing more for her whole life, and so she has spent her entire life preparing to be a princess and to be good or whatever. But then they get there and it turns out that Sophie is in the school for evil and Agatha is in the school for good. And so they're convinced that it's a mistake and they keep trying to swap schools and nothing works. And so they just kind of try and escape and make things right and get back to their village where they can live happily ever after as friends and not be kind of arch enemies, basically. Yeah, I thought it was just amazing. The blurring of the lines between good and evil and what makes someone good and what makes someone evil were so interesting. And the only thing that I didn't like about this book was the fact that it would have been so easy for Agatha and Sophie to be like true loves instead of true best friends. And I understand that this is more a middle grade book than it is a YA book, but I really would have loved for them to be lesbians, because like there's even a kiss involved at one point. So I was just spending the whole time in agony because I was just shipping it so hard and I knew it was never going to happen. And just, yeah. And then it kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I picked up the second one straight away, which turned out to be kind of a mistake. I'm not really good with marathoning series. I get burnt out with, just reading the same thing one after the other. I need to read different things in between. But yeah, I don't know if it was just the fact that I was kind of tired of the world, although I wasn't really tired of the world, or whether I just needed to have taken a break in between reading the first one and the second one. But I didn't like this one as much. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, not 5 out of 5 stars. With this one, there was a lot of jumping between was Sophie evil? Was Sophie good? Was she doing things for Agatha's benefit? Was she being selfish? Did Agatha love the boy? Did Agatha not love the boy? Did Sophie love the boy? Did Sophie not love the boy? Did Sophie want the boy more than she wanted Agatha? Did Agatha want the boy more than she wanted Sophie? And it was just very, very confusing, and it tended to jump between all of those things very, very quickly. You would turn around and all of a sudden she would be, angry with Sophie, and then in the next page she'd be happy with Sophie. And it kind of gave me whiplash a little bit, and I couldn't quite keep up, which may not be a fault of the book. It could be a fault with me. A lot of times I was reading it when I was very tired, but yeah, it did color my experience of it. But the changes to the school in this compared to the school in the first one were really, really interesting, and I thought it was really well done. Okay, so in this one, there's it involves things being segregated into boys and girls, and so people who have not been taken in by this big change think that it's a very bad thing, but I don't really see how it is. I mean, I can for the boys because they were kind of, they got the short end of the stick. But in the first one, the girls were learning how to be princesses, how to be damsels in distress, how to look nice, how to speak to animals, just all of the typical, princess things. But in this one, they were learning about swordplay and fighting and how to defend themselves. And I thought it was much better, because I didn't like in the first one that everything was just so segregated and the boys got to do all of the survival things and the girls didn't. I realized that was probably the point of the novel because that is how fairy tales are written, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of unsure about how I feel about it. Whether it was intentionally unbalanced when it came to gender or whether it wasn't. And I think I have to read the third one to figure out for sure how I actually feel about this series. But they both are very, very good, and I would recommend them, even though I didn't like this one as much. The second last book I'm going to show you is More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops by Jen Campbell. This is just another book of funny/stupid things that people have said. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. These books are just so funny and so entertaining, and if you've ever worked in retail, you will relate to this so much. If you know anything about books, you'll get most of the jokes. It's just, yeah, customers are unbelievably stupid sometimes, and these books are fantastic because they just show how stupid they can be. These books are just brilliant, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. Okay, now for the last book that I'm going to show you, I have to thank my friend Sophie on Twitter for. She said that she was in the bookshop and she saw a book that she thought I would like, and the book is The Flywheel by Erin Gough. Or Go, not quite sure, I think Gough. Anyway, so it's about this girl called Delilah, and her dad owns a cafe called The Flywheel. and he's kind of gone on an overseas trip, and so Delilah has to kind of manage the cafe while she's still doing year 11 at school. And she has a crush on a girl who dances in the tapas restaurant across the road, and so it's just kind of her dealing with school and everything that goes wrong with running the cafe, and what to do with her crush. And she had like a little bit of a relationship with one of the popular girls at school, which kind of absolutely backfired, and so she has to deal with the fallout from that at school. And it was brilliant. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. If you can get your hands on a copy of this book, you definitely should. I don't know if it will be available overseas. I hope so, because it was really, really good. I don't read Australian YA very often, and I don't know why I don't, because there's something about it that's just so familiar. It's not even that Australian English is that different to American English, but just when you read so much YA from other countries instead of reading YA from your own country, when you do read YA from your own country, it's kind of like coming home, because it uses certain phrases and it will use words in a context that is unique to your country. Like, I don't know if anyone else ever experiences this, but I do. Whenever I read a YA book from Australia, it's just, I can't explain it. It's so familiar because it's language that I use in everyday life, not language that is like what I use in everyday life, but with certain words or phrases different. And I'm probably making absolutely no sense, but I really loved this book, and I really wish it had existed when I was in high school, because I really needed it back then. And this is absolutely going to be one of my favorites. I want to reread it already, and yes, please, if you can buy this book, please do, please read it, because it was so amazing. And yes. Okay, those are all of the books that I read in February. Sorry that this is so late, but yeah, not much I could do about it. Better late than never. Yeah, okay. This video has gone on for long enough, so I'm going to stop talking, and I will see you when I see you. Bye, everyone.